Welcome to our final session of this 6-week course. And this week we're going to be looking at the future. But to begin with, I invite you to set yourself up for a sitting practice. Now, this week I'm going to be guiding less, inviting you to direct yourself within the practice whilst taking care of yourselves. So set yourself up for a sitting practice, which of course you can do lying down if that's how you're feeling today. Just taking the time to settle, get everything that you need, blankets, props, cushions. By taking a moment to arrive and settle, checking in with your posture. That if you're sitting, that your hips are higher than your knees, that you have a solid base, that you're grounded like a mountain, rooted. How are you? What are the sensations that accompany this? As always, within the practice, we are, as best we can, being with our direct experience. Remembering that there is no right or wrong way of doing this practice. And that you should follow my guidance only if this feels right for you. This is really important. We're learning to take care of ourselves. And to listen to the messages of our bodies. Taking the time to learn its language and listen. So how are you? What exactly is that? Now an invitation to narrow your attention to your breath. Finding a point within the breath most vivid for you today. And that this can act as an anchor for you each time your mind has wandered off within the practice. Now expanding your awareness from the breath to include all of your body. You breathing. The space above you, beside you, beneath you, in front of you. Where do you begin? Where do you end? The air that touches your skin, the fabric of your clothes, the points of contact that you're making with the earth. You breathing. In, pause, out, pause. What is your direct experience as you sit here breathing in your body? Knowing that you have a few options if you experience discomfort within the practice. You can move, weaving the movements into your meditation. You don't need to be separate. Acknowledging perhaps that your mind judges the experience and slowing it down, weaving the movement slowly and deliberately and purposefully into your practice. And then resting in the felt sensation of having made those movements. Perhaps relief, perhaps disappointment. Whatever's here as best you can. Resting in the direct experience and sensations that you notice in your body in this moment, in this practice. As we practice as a group in our various parts of the world, in our various time zones, as we practice mindfulness together, trusting in our own experiences. So we move out of the perpetual tendency to want to hold on to the pleasant and get rid of the unpleasant. Letting be versus holding, struggling. Thinking into the natural flow of all reality, the impermanence of our experiences. Once you've moved, bringing your attention back to your direct experience of breathing in your body. Another option we have is to explore our experience. You don't need to go right to the center, you can rest around the edges, exploring the sensations that you notice here in this moment. Playful and curious. Where are the sensations? And what exactly are they? Where are they? Shapes, colours, textures. We've been exploring the body scan, movement, and sitting practices, breathing spaces. What is it to be you, your direct experience? And then our third option is we can be playful with that breath. Breathing around the sensation or breathing into the sensation with a breath that's like fogging a window, or maybe it's a firm breath like blowing dust away. Being playful and curious and interested in you and directing your breath to your experience, if that feels right for you. Simply breathing into and around the spaces of the sensation. Perhaps giving a sense of cleansing, clearing, spaciousness. And then returning your attention to the breath within your body, or perhaps resting a while longer, exploring those options, or perhaps another part of the body is calling your attention, an itch, a tingle, discomfort, pain, knowing that you can move, you can explore the experience, and you can use the breath. And that these are available to you throughout the practice. And outside of the practice, you invariably experience some discomforts within your days. And you experience something that you want to cling to, a joyful moment that you want to keep. These tools and techniques are always there for you. As we sit and practice breathing in our bodies, each time your mind wanders off, gently, kindly, and firmly returning your attention back to the practice of being in the body, breathing, grounded, like a mountain. And now an invitation to move your attention from the breath and the body to your experience of sounds as sounds. The sounds coming from my space into yours, spaces within your rooms, your homes, the area you live in. Not particularly searching for sounds, but allowing them to arrive. Noticing how you label them as pleasant or unpleasant, and as best you can each time, directing your experience back to your direct experience and the bodily sensations that you notice of sounds. What is your direct experience of sounds? Where are they in the body? Sounds as sounds. And now I invite you to move your attention away from your experience of sounds to your experience of thoughts. Observing your thoughts. This is mindful wander. Get lost in those stories, and as best you can, bringing yourself back to your direct experience of thoughts. Observing your mind like you would a television, or bubbles in a glass of sparkling water, or clouds passing in the sky. Observing how thoughts are simply mental events. They're not facts. They're not you. What is your direct experience of observing thoughts? Bringing an open and kind welcome to your experience. Thoughts is thoughts. Some thoughts, like clouds, can be thick and dark and take up the expanse of the sky, and others thin and wispy, passing quickly by. But behind the clouds, the sky is there, bright and clear. And you are the sky. Your thoughts are not facts. You are not your thoughts. and mental events, combination of your genes, your experiences, your environments, amongst many other things. Taking the time to observe the workings of our mind, the thoughts that pop up, being interested and curious and kind, being compassionate to ourselves, observing how we make sense of the world. Being curious, willing to see everything as if for the first time, that beginner's mind. And from thoughts, I now invite you to move your attention to your experience of emotions, your direct experience and felt sense of your emotions. Where are they in the body? What are they? How would you describe them? What do they look like? Shape, colour, temperature, density. Dropping into your body, learning its language and listening, observing, being curious and kind towards what you find. Felt sense of your emotions. Now I invite you to move your attention away from any specific part of the practice as you are invited to move into a period of choiceless awareness. Letting go of holding on to anything in particular, going where you want to go, like letting a dog off the lead or a child into the park, allowing yourself to be and explore what you want to explore. As we sit quietly together, practice choiceless awareness. Move out of the perpetual human tendency to want to hold on, push away. Rest in this moment together. And now, directing your attention back to your breath. The in-breath, the pauses, the out-breath. And then expanding your awareness to include all of your body. You breathing here. Grounded, solid, stable. The space beneath you, beside you, in front of you. Where do you begin and end? This body that houses you. I'd like you to take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you? What exactly does that mean? What are the felt sensations? Love After Love by Derek Walcott. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. So moving and stretching in whatever way your body feels called to do. And we're going to move into an inquiry around the practice. So for those people accessing the recording at a later stage, at home, your own spaces, wherever you are, the invitation is to reflect on your direct experience of that practice, being guided less. And also taking a moment to explore how you found the home practice, the breathing space, the regular. Did you have a responsive breathing space? Perhaps exploring how you used it, the responsive breathing space, if you did. The sitting practice, how you found fitting that in within your day. And anything that may have come up from the handouts around negative thought patterns, whether anything popped up for you over the week. So a few things there to reflect on. You can sit with that or journal. And I'm going to pause the recording for the group. Okay, so this is week 6. Done amazing. We have explored the autopilot, living in our heads. Nothing through my notes. So gathering the scattered mind, staying present, allowing and letting be, our thoughts not being facts, and now we're moving into the future. Now, if you have your handouts to hand, it'd be helpful to have a look at that intention that you set at the beginning. What were you hoping to get out of this course? And did you meet that? Be so interested to hear how you got on with that. I was thinking about the future, moving forward. I'm going to share some slides now. These will all be in your handouts. The future. So here we have a parachute and all the bits and bobs that are required to make it work effectively. Don't start weaving your parachute when you are just about to jump out of the plane. John Kabat-Zinn. So I'm not sure if you notice with the 3-minute breathing space, when we practice this regularly, and it really is the most fundamental and core practice within the whole course. If you take nothing away, that 3-minute breathing space will hold you in such good stead for those moments when you need your parachute, when that responsive breathing space can pop in and you know to bring awareness to your body, to gather your attention to your breath, and then to expand outwards into the body, allowing what to be, allowing what you're feeling to be there, holding space for it. It's there. Let me feel it. And then that gives the option of how you respond next, that pause. Okay? What would be the wise decision? Not that you will necessarily take that, but it just gives the option to forge those new pathways that we've been talking about. We have this way of living where we tend to follow the same paths over and over again. And we have all of this space either side of us, which we could forge new pathways that could lead us to the same place, but could also lead us on different adventures in life. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. We can lift mood by intentional, skillful action. We can respond more promptly and effectively to changes in our mood by learning to recognize our personal pattern of warning signs. So we looked at this in a little bit more depth last week of the top negative thought patterns. If we can spot them, then we give ourselves the option to stop them as well. Those personal patterns of warning signs. We're listening to our bodies, and we're noticing how we respond, and sometimes the warning signs come up in our bodies before our brains catch on. So after taking a breathing space, we can kindly take care of ourselves by acts that give measure or a sense of mastery or provide a clear focus for mindfulness. By being actively present in more of our moments and making mindful decisions about what we really need in each of these moments, we can use activity to become more aware and alert and to regulate mood. Using the breathing space, the action step. Do something pleasurable. Do something that will give you a sense of mastery. Act mindfully. Focus your entire attention on just what you are doing right now. So with the breathing space, where we have gathered our attention, we've focused and narrowed in on the breath and then expanded outwards, we then have the option to hold space for our feelings and invite the action step. When you're under pressure, we are more likely to revert to old habits of mind. The more tuned in you are to yourself and the world about you, the wiser your decisions, choices, and actions will be. Take a breathing space, pause, breathe, decide, and respond. So it's fundamental. It's the key. And non-doing. Non-doing is truly the work of a lifetime. It simply means letting things be and allowing them to unfold in their own way. I'll make sure I correct that in the handout. Enormous effort can be involved, but it is graceful, knowledgeable, effortless effort cultivated over a lifetime. We aren't practicing to make things perfect or to do things perfectly. Rather, we practice to be at peace with ourselves. The fact that things are already perfect as they are. This has everything to do with holding the present moment in its fullness without imposing anything extra on it, perceiving its purity and the freshness of its potential to give rise to the next moment. Maintaining and extending new learning. The advantages of awareness, acceptance, and mindfully responding to situations rather than immediately running off pre-programmed automatic reactions have been a recurring theme throughout this course. Acceptance may often be the springboard to some form of skillful action directed at changing your inner and outer world. However, there are also situations and feelings that it may be very difficult or actually impossible to change. In this situation, there is a danger that by carrying on trying to solve an insolvable problem, or by refusing to accept the reality of the situation one is in, one may end up banging one's head against a brick wall, exhausting oneself, and actually increasing a sense of helplessness. In these situations, you can still retain a sense of dignity and control by making a conscious, mindful decision not to attempt to exert control and to accept the situation as it is, if possible with a kindly attitude to the situation and your reactions to it. This makes me think of the riptide. If there's a riptide, if we fight and fight and fight, we actually decrease our chances of survival. Whereas if we just surrender to the process, the sea spits us out. This kind of just, rather than fighting and bracing and having to solve and work our way through everything, that we can actually drop into the present moment and feel things as they are. Our feelings are meant to be felt. And there's a bit of a dramatic example there. And anyway, my apologies for the interruptions from the the messages that are popping up. So decide right now what your regular pattern of practical practice will be over the next few weeks. Also remember that the regular breathing space provides a way of checking in with yourself. Let it also be your first response in times of difficulty, stress, or unhappiness. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. There will be unhelpful notifications that pop up in our lives. Things will be noisy and messy. And I think, is it Glennon Doyle who says, life is brutal. It's beautiful and brutal. And I hope that this course has given you some skills to give yourself some space to breathe, to be open to your experiences with that open and kind welcome, whatever that is. So I'm going to include this in your handouts, and I hope that this will be a helpful tool for you to have an exploration of. And if you need any support or guidance around it, do reach out. So, stress indicators. Having a think about what your warning signs are. What have you noticed over the last few weeks with the mindfulness exercises? Points of tension in your left shoulder, a cramming too much in, a sense of compulsion, headaches, irritability, sleeplessness, tense shoulders, the stomach, neck, jaw, procrastinating. What are your personal stress indicators? What have you noticed? These are your early warning signals and signs. And then I'd like you to break this down and explore the actions and strategies that are unhelpful and that you find helpful. So, for example, unhelpful might be eating too much or too little, drinking more coffee, taking painkillers, unhelpful self-talk, guilt, over-shopping, drinking too much alcohol, working harder, mindless use of the internet, avoidance. And then listing your helpful strategies, listening to a guided meditation, taking a walk, taking a breathing space, physical exercise, mindful eating, talking with friends, listening to music, art, journaling, reading a book, reading poetry, writing poetry, taking a cup of tea, whatever, just write them all down. Write them all down. And there you have some helpful information for those moments, also where you're feeling really stressed. Okay, yeah, I'm doing all those things. I'm doing those unhelpful things. I've not eaten today. I'm being very critical to myself. And what can I do? Oh, the helpful things. Picking one. All right, I'm going to listen to a piece of music. I'm just going to sit and listen to a piece of music. So we're learning to take care of ourselves. Do the things that support our well-being. And if you feel inclined, I would love to hear how you have gotten on with the course. And this is the mindful awareness scale that we did at the beginning, or you may have done at the beginning. I'd really love it if you could take the time to fill this in and to compare your results. Sometimes we score lower on the scale at the end of the course, and this is because we think that we were more mindful at the beginning, and we over the period of the sessions realize, oh, actually, yeah, no, I do actually not pay that much attention, and it's become clearer to you that you're less mindful than you thought you maybe were. So anyway, interesting, and there's no right or wrong way of being. So I'm here if you need me. We're going to close with a short practice together. And the invitation is to be planning ahead and thinking about how you're going to keep up the momentum. There are some resources on my website. There are some great apps that I'm sure you're aware of. If you know of any great ones, then do let me know. I know Calm, Headspace, are great ones, and there's some brilliant people on Insight Timer. So you're free now to be following your own practices. You have the recordings and the handouts, and I'll make this all available in on my website for you as well. And there's a link to my SoundCloud. I run a class on a Friday morning, French time, 10 to 11. I record these sessions, so if you'd like to access those, then do reach out. And if you'd like to explore anything that came up in further detail, I'm available for one-to-one sessions. And I'm sure that there are some great resources local to you in French and in English, and depending on whereabouts in the world you are. So thank you so much for joining me, and let's close with a practice. So setting yourself up in a sitting practice, for a sitting practice. Taking time to arrive, setting up your posture into a graceful and dignified way. Your spine in its natural alignment, your chin slightly tucked, elongating the back of your spine. And taking a moment to notice the points of contact that your body's making with the earth. This body. It goes so unnoticed till it causes discomfort or pleasure. For the most part, goes about its business. Very little intervention from us. Very unsentimental. Taking a moment to arrive in your body, this body that brought you here today, got you dressed, moved you around, it's fed you. How are you in this moment? Now an invitation to narrow your attention to your breath. Simply breathing in, breathing out. And then expanding your awareness to include all of your body, the space above you, beneath you, beside you. Where do you begin and end? Honouring the time that you have taken out of your busy life to be here. And in doing so, you've taken an active step in taking care of your own health and well-being. And congratulating yourself for taking this time for yourself. The summer day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? It's Mary Oliver Poe. So best you can, taking the sense of connection and awareness into whatever you have left to do with your day. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been an honour. I'm here if you need me.